morning.
Good morning.
My name is Andhyka Soemarsono. You can call me Andhyka or Andy. So it's up to you, Charu and Michael. And I am from Indonesia. And I would like to share about you a bit of my background so you know who you are talking to. So I have experience in financial institution. So I started my career actually in marketing for credit card, but then I found my passion in human resources, and I am currently handling the talent management, employee management, organization development, and I used to have experience in reward management. Currently, I work for Sun Life Indonesia as the head of organization development and talent. And previously, as you can see here, I was in banking, DBS Bank Singapore, CMB Niaga Malaysia, and also HSBC Hong Kong. And I also had experience in corporate agile squads as the Scrum Master and also as a development team member. There are several projects that I was involved. One of them is the corporate culture. We had a culture integration at that time, and also how to maximize the client portfolio growth. So that's a bit about me. So I would like to know a bit about you also. So why don't we start with Charu? Oh, so you can tell me a bit of background, and then also I would like to know the change that you are, I would say, recently have or maybe witness. It could be personal, it could be in professional life.
Hi, Charu here. So basically, I'm handling rewards. So actually, I'm the lead for rewards for this organization that has a diverse business, but it's having businesses in the industrial side, supply chain logistics, as well as on a very unique piece on the financial services because it's steering itself into transforming into a financial house, and at the same time having well-being businesses. So quite diverse and very different portfolio. So the change portion currently actually because of my portfolio, I'm handling something called the OKRs, where we are actually transforming the organization to actually adopt these new goal management and performance management approach in the organization. So there's quite some fair bit of change management that we actually need to do in the organization. Yeah.
Well, that's very interesting. You were talking about the OKR. So do you also change the system as well on the company?
We do. So basically right now we are actually using Excel. so with this change, it's not only the conceptual portion that is changing, but also the digitalization bit. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's very interesting. Maybe we can hear about it more, especially starting the OKR system, because I also have, I would say, witness experience in how we change our mindset to OKR and then how to implement it company-wide. And we'll talk about it later. Charu, thank you so much. Now let's listen to Michael. Can you share a bit about yourself and the change that you recently had?
Yes, Andy, good morning. So myself, I'm currently a HRBP. I've been in HR for almost 15 years right now. I started my career, or most of my career was in talent acquisition. So I switched to HRBP not long ago. So I started my career with companies like Honeywell. Later, I joined Philips, Lumileds, and then and also Micron, which are all mostly semiconductor companies. And recently, I joined this telecommunication company called Motorola Solutions. They are providing telecommunication equipments for for our security purposes and things like that. So this is myself. So I've been working a lot with the talent acquisition. I said so. Maybe it's still new, so I'm still learning, and I'm taking care of employee grievances and employee discipline management. Okay.
Okay. So what really attracts you to HRBP area? coming from the TA?
I think I care a lot more about the talent management or the employee management. I am really like someone a people person, so I like to contribute or add value towards our internal team members. So previously as a TA, you bring in the new talent, you attract talent, you work on branding. It's most your interface mostly is with external customers. You only deal with internal customers when there is an escalation. Okay, when you don't get person and things like that. So I ask myself how much of a HR you are, how much HR you know, right? Because you work a lot as a marketing and you do a lot of external things, right? So it was my passion from the beginning. Honestly, I completed my law degree. I wanted to do a disciplinary and or employee and employee what do you call this employee relations or ER or IR, but I did not get opportunity. So when the opportunity came by, I didn't want to miss. And I think it's a right progress after when you deal a lot with TA, right? You also deal a little bit with mobility, you deal a little bit with compensation and benefits, and so you touch base with a lot of things, but you're not an expert at anything. So HRBP, you need to know everything. You are an advisor to the business. You need to do change management, you need to come and implement things. So you're very much involved in the internal talent, employee and talent management. That's what attracts me.
Yeah, I always admire the skills of HR business partner because they're the first contact of business, right? And he or they have to get a grasp of several different HR practices because then they will liaise with the COE or the Center of Excellence. So that's great sharing. So I see we have another participant.
Yeah, at
Tui
last,
Tui Nguyen. Is that correct?
Yeah, hello.
Hi. How should I pronounce your name?
Thuy. My name is Thuy.
Toy. Okay, Toy.
Yeah, from Vietnam.
We just start the class, and by sharing a bit about yourself, and can you also share the change that you just recently have, or maybe witness? It could be personal life or even professional life.
Okay. Hello everyone and hello teacher. Sorry for late because the power in my area is off. Yeah, my name is Thuy. I'm from Vietnam and I'm now an HR supervisor at an IT company in a software. Yeah. Um, I like to join this course because I think it's very interesting because we need to know about the HR strategy. Yeah, so we can apply for my job. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So which city are you located, Toy?
I'm in Da Nang City.
Oh, in Da Nang City.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Okay. All right. So welcome to the class. And we would like to hear more about the change, right? So can you, from the three of you, can you share with me what happened with this company? There is no right or wrong. You just tell me what you think of this company. Anyone would like to share? Oh, I want to check whether my slide is visible.
Yeah, it's only the phone. Nokia phone.
Okay. Can you tell me about what do you know about Nokia company, Michael, and what happened there?
Okay, they were not. Nokia was the number one company dealing with handphones and everything. Probably about 10 years ago, almost slightly more. And then they were the number one company coming up with a lot of technology and all that. But when iPhone came with the touchscreen technology, they thought it's not going to work. Nobody is going to take. They still will stick to Nokia, which is the normal but touch button, everything, the button phone and everything, right? But I would say they did not anticipate the change that was happening in the world, and they did not do the right change management to go into this new era of touchscreen phones and where like iPhone did and on. So they did not expect this wave of change, and so now they are nowhere in the world, and now they are banking on their rights of certain patents to survive, I would say. And they are trying to make a comeback. Very slow start. They have got some good potential, products, but I don't see them making a major change because they're no longer the mainstream player right now already. They're more to I would say the cheaper level of phones. Okay. That's
Okay,
all.
thank you, Michael, for sharing. Yes, they were late at anticipating change. So they were really confident with their operating software, where the Android just came and then also iOS came in. And actually, they innovated a lot, especially in the late 90s and the early 2000s. But somehow, when iPhone came, when Android rise, they they were very comfortable at the top of the market. But then it's like a two sort for them, and suddenly the sales is decreasing. But I recently read that they are building a community in the rural of India because they can provide a very simple phone that is very suitable for the rural community in India villages, and no other, I would say, brands go to that area, and they are making comeback. But as Michael said, maybe it's not like they used to be. All right, thank you. So now let's see about this codec. Can someone share their experience or their knowledge about what happened to codec?
No, I just thought like it changes from like starting off with film and then like now in the market I thought now is it still exists, but it's like focusing more on like very specialized kind of like those like camera, but also in the market is is predominant just because now I think most of the people don't really go for such cameras anymore. People actually utilize alternatives like the phones, all these features to actually take photos. So it's yet another company that probably didn't actually meet up to like the trending of the market and everything. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. They started with the film-based camera, and then they were so successful. And actually, they invented the first digital camera, but somehow they didn't follow up or even focus on that digital camera until other brand or other company support the digital camera. So actually, this is a case where they are also comfortable with the strong position in the market, and yet they invented a new technology, because if we remember, digital camera was so prominent before the camera on our cell phone is getting much better and better. But then they do not believe that digital camera at that moment is providing them revenue. So this is another case of change management. All right, now let's talk about this Lego toy. Do you want to share anything that you know about Lego? So basically, Lego has been here for more than 30 years, I believe. But then again, they were so inventive at certain point of time. They have million types of blocks. So I believe that we are familiar with Lego toys, and they are building bricks. And there were a certain time that at a certain point of time, there were a million of brick types, and the revenue is not really going so well at that time. So they try to find a strategy, and they say, I think we need to simplify. What do they simplify? The types of bricks. So from millions to only 1,000. So that's why when we see now Lego, they're not so much type on the brick itself. Yes, they are thematic. For example, DC Comics, Marvel, city, classic, and everything. But then if you see the brick type, there's not so much, I would say, difference. And they fix the revenue problem by simplifying that. Okay, I guess this is a case where we can find how companies struggle, how companies actually won the market and then struggle because of the competition. And some of them failed, and some of them actually are successful, how to overcome that problem. Now let's see another one, Netflix. If we see Netflix here, actually, they are successful in overcoming the competition with the Blockbuster. If you are familiar with Blockbuster, it's a video rental business in USA. It's very huge, especially in the I would say 90s, in the 90s. But in the early 2000, actually, Netflix came to Blockbuster to offer, I would say, cooperation in streaming business. However, at that time, Blockbuster didn't take the offer because they said that, oh, that's ridiculous. People still want the physical video or DVD or CD at that time. So they turned down the Netflix offer, but somehow in 2010, Blockbuster, they went down. The revenue stream was very low, and from I think they only have now maybe one or two Blockbuster store. Meanwhile, Netflix during the pandemic, it arose. The income stream was very high, but now actually they are having problem because they don't have really the advertisement, the source from advertisement, because they want to keep it clean, but then it gives them trouble. And I think they also have employee layoff in certain time, I think in recent months. So this is also a case of how a company have to adapt all the time. Although you might be successful at the beginning, but then another challenge, another situation arise, and we also need to sustain our adaptability. Now, speaking about adaptability, I would like to invite you to maybe get a pencil or pen or a paper, or if you are using your laptop, you can use Notepad, Word, Excel, everything. So because I want to give you a quiz. Is that clear? Charu? Charu, you're smiling. Is that clear? Good?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, Toy and
Yes.
Michael?
Okay.
Yes, clear, sir.
All right, all right. So the quiz is, how adaptable are you? So what you need to do is just put the question number and then yes or no. All right. So 1, yes or no. 2, yes or no. So it's not rocket science. It's very easy. How adaptable are you? So I got this from LinkedIn. Brenda Benz. She is the senior executive leadership coach. Now, my first question. So at the gut level, do you tend to judge decisions or people's actions immediately as either right or wrong? So do you have that tendency? If you do have the tendency to judge decision as either right or wrong, you can put yes, otherwise you can put no. So I'll give you 30 seconds to think about it. What you need to do is just one, either yes or one no. So everyone is good with this question? Yes, okay, I see Charu nodding. Oh, I have a chat here. No, okay, Michael, do you want to ask anything?
Oh no, you said yes or no, right?
Oh,
For
okay,
the-
okay. So just put that in your personal note. You
Okay.
don't need to put it in a chat box.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Now, let's see. Number 2. Do you guys quickly and instinctually look at situations that arise at work as either good or bad? Okay. Do you quickly look at situations that arise at work as either good or bad? If you do, please take yes. If you don't, then take no. We're good? Can I move to the next question then? Maybe you can give like thumbs up or maybe love sign.
Yes, go ahead. Next
Yes.
question.
All right.
Okay.
Number 3. Do you view other people or their choices as either strong or weak with no in between? So it's like black and white, strong or weak. All right. Number 4. Do you find yourself labeling colleagues who agree with you as smart and those who disagree with you as not smart or at least less competent? So please give your honest answer because I will not ask you for this question, but I just want to know the yes and no. All right. Number 5. Do you typically think in terms of either success or failure, viewing failure as a catastrophic event? So in a simpler note, do you think that failure is catastrophic event? Is it yes or no? Okay. Number 6. Do you rely mostly on previous experience to make judgments, not only about your colleagues or their behavior, but about whether a decision is right? Okay, so do you rely mostly on previous experience to make judgments about whether a decision is right? Okay. Number 7. Do you find yourself so pressed for time that you resort to quick choices based on what's been done in the past without pausing to assess the specifics of the current situation? So this is how you behave when you quickly make decisions. So do you find yourself so pressed for time that you resort to quick choices based on what's been done in the past without pausing to assess the specifics of the current situation? Is it yes or no? Can I move? Sure. Now, this is the last question. Do you find yourself frequently defending decisions by saying, well, that's the way it's been done before? So, do you find yourself frequently defending decisions by saying, well, that's the way it's been done before? Is it yes or no? Okay, now I would like you to count how many yeses that you have. Okay, I would like to ask Chauru, how many yeses do you have from the 8?
I have 1.
You have 1. All
Yeah.
right. What about Toy? How many yeses do you have?
I have 5 yes.
You have 5 yeses. All right.
Yes.
Interesting. Michael, what about you? Hello, Michael.
I have about 4.
You have 4. Okay. So let's see. Charu, you have 1. Toy, you have 5. And Michael, you have 4. Now, what does that mean in this test? So here it is. So if you have 1 or 2 yeses, it means that you are reasonably flexible and you are comfortable working in gray area. So it means that you have already demonstrated your adaptive skill and you are okay with changes, or you are comfortable with changes. Now, for those of you who have 3 to 5 yeses, so you spend some time in the gray area, in the ambiguous area, but actually you could also benefit from paying closer attention to situations where you fall back on black and white thinking. Okay, so it seems here that most of you have already been comfortable with the changes, and this is only one, I would say, one suggestion for us in accommodating and also facing change. Okay, so up to now, do you have any comments or question? Toy, Michael, and Charu? Okay, so I think silence means no. Okay, now let's get this done. I would like to ask you, why is change difficult? I would like to hear from Toy. Why do you think change is difficult?
Because I think when we train the new thing, we have to see the how adaptable with the change, and is it good or bad, and is suitable with the real situation or not.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so you bringing up about the adaptability and then whether it is suitable with the current situation. Okay, what about you, Michael? What do you think of why change is?
Because not everybody is comfortable with change. So you have to ensure the change is communicated well if you're working in a big setup, and ensure that other things are taken, the logistics are taken care, all right, when there is change, the housekeepings are taken care when there is change. So that's change is constant. Change is good, but again, we have to be really how do I put it? We have to be very careful with the other aspects, or the lingering aspects when we are like doing changes. So, all right.
Okay, so one good point about that Michael has pointed out is that not everyone is comfortable with change, and he also said that constant change is good. Okay, so I would like to hold to that statement, whether is it good to have a constant change. So now we listen to Charu. So what do you think of this statement or this question?
I think people find change difficult because we cannot anticipate, or we cannot be certain, like, the change is good versus the current situation. So because it's something new, change is always something new from current. So we have not experienced it before. So typically there's that tendency to stick to what people can see and can feel that is currently good. Yeah, that's my thought.
Yes, sometimes the impact of change can be hindered by the visibility of the result, right? So if we cannot see the future result or the future benefit, actually some of them may believe that it will happen, but then since it hasn't been realized now, then they tend to say, oh, maybe later, or maybe just we don't fix what is not broken. So we'll see why change is difficult. This actually is very natural. Well, this is very interesting, right? We know that everything changes. I believe that Charu 15 years ago, you don't look like this. Maybe your height is different, right? Maybe Toy as well, and then also Michael. But then deep inside our heart or the head, there is a limbic system in our brain. And when change happens, because the limbic system is for our defense, right? Our self-defense. And when the system sees change, it can be seen as threat. So threat, how do we respond? There are three types of responses. First is flight, so we go away. Second one is we freeze, so we don't do anything. And the third one is to fight, we adapt. So that is why change is difficult. And if someone says, oh, well, change is easy, well, maybe it's one of the million people in this world that says that, because that is very natural in our head, that every change can be seen as a threat. Now, when we try to fight or when we try to adapt, then the other part, excuse me, the other part of the brain, prefrontal cortex, plays in the game. This is the part that we need to relearn or maybe learn something new about the change. And it consumes energy. That's why some people might have underwent changes and they feel, I would say, tired, exhausted, traumatized, and the prefrontal cortex says, I don't want to do this anymore. So it weighs the positive and negative, and they say, okay, let's not do this. Let's not do this change because I don't want to be exhausted or traumatized again. So that's why the change is difficult, because of these two natural part of our brain plays in the game. Now, why do you think HR is important in change? Because all of us are in HR. So why HR is important in change? I would like to go with Michael first. Hi, Michael.
Yes, Andy.
Why do you think HR is important in change?
Because we are the person that doing the change management. Because we are the center in terms of communications. We deal a lot with the employees, which will impact the change.
Okay, dealing a lot with the employees, especially for you who have experience as a business partner, right? Okay. And what about you, Charu? Why HR is important?
I think because how to put it, because we handle people and like people drive change. So we are the ones that can actually try to influence people to make the change happen.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay. Because it involves a lot of with people, and HR deals with people, right? That's why HR plays important role. Okay. What about you, Toy? Why HR is important in change?
For me, is my area in the IT market. It's very important because the IT market is very competitive, and we need to also update policy and benefit frequently to keep the employee in the company, because it's competitive. Each company want to recruit more and more developer, and so we have to update benefit compare with the market. Yeah, that is in my area. Thank you.
Okay, so it has to deal with the policy and procedure update, especially when it deals with people agenda. So, Michael, based on your experience, it doesn't have to be the HR team right now. Based on your experience, when you work in HR, is really HR easy to change? How do you assess your experience?
not easy to change. Reason being, whatever change that we make, right, impacts a lot of people, impacts the running of the company, impacts a lot of systems. So it has to be done very procedurally, or in a process. There has to be a good process in order to ensure the change is done in a manner that is good.
I see. So because of the impact is significant, so that's why changes are not easy to be implemented.
Yep. I can quote you some example if you have time.
Sure.
Probably the employee systems that we use, right? I have experience working in the employee changing of employee system. So there's a series of meetings, and if you're working in a corporate, multinational corporate, right? So every year, every country has got a different ask. Every country has got a different legal requirement. So every department also, I mean, not department, every employee also need to be updated. Every employee information need to be updated from the rank and file up to the CEO or the VP and so on, right? So these are the things that it really impacts, I think, and that's the reason why I say change is not easy for HR, and it has to be very procedurally, very process orientated. And as I said, there's a lot of logistics that need to be taken care of before you can start this process. And there will be series meeting. Probably some things can take up to 6 months, and some can even go up to 1 year as well.
I see. So from your experience, how long did it take eventually to make the employee system new started?
I think we had about 6 months of meeting of setting up and coming up, working with the vendors on what we need for each country and so on. And another 6 months of we have implemented, but there's always upgrades and new asks, based on every country's needs and everything. So I would say the close to 1 year until it was maybe can be optimized in terms of usage. And there's communication. There's you also need to go back to the employees in guiding them, having classes for them on what is in terms of the new feature, and then you need to work with the working group to ensure that everything, every tiny minute details are taken into account. That's so. As I said, it's 1 year at least. That's the minimum.
I see.
That's for major. It's for big companies and major change like as this employee systems. Right.
Agree, especially when it comes to multinational company where each country, each region, each group, or each global team has their own interests and their own policy. And 1 year is quite fast according to my experience. Based on my experience, it takes up to 1.5 years. And then 1 year, we go back and forth, like, how to synergize all of the needs, how to pivot, and how to let some go, because we cannot have everything, because we have a certain interest. Well, that's interesting. What about you, Chauru? Based on experience, is really HR easy to change?
I don't think it's very easy to change, especially I thought most of the time the resistance in change comes about from the mindset. Yeah. And typically people as we go along with like some of the things that we want to change, people are taking like small steps to see and like maneuver their way around first. Most of the time taking step by step instead of like embracing the whole change. I don't think, because even from like change perspective, although it's usually saying that hey, someone needs to lead the change and everything, so the first step we also need the leadership team, or like people driving the change, to also believe in the change first. So I thought, like from experience, having that particular group of people to believe in the change and driving the change through their behavior is quite important. Yeah.
I agree with you, Charu. I think I also experienced the same thing in my company, or even my previous company. Some of the stakeholders, they tend to get a small step first, and then see. But then the other departments can have a leap, for example, and they are not they don't agree with the other departments just taking a small steps. So I think managing stakeholders is also important, and it's quite, I would say, challenging for HR, especially because we are dealing with employees who have like thousand or even millions of complaints. So when they're not comfortable or they're not happy, they also, "Oh, this is because of HR policy. HR doesn't help us." So that's why sometimes HR people don't want that condition, and sometimes it slow down the change rate. What about you, Toy? Toy, based on your experience, is the HR easy to change?
For me, it's very difficult to change because HR is in a representative for employees and both representative for the stakeholder. If we want to make more benefits for the employees, but we need to balance with the finance of the stakeholder, right? We cannot make everyone happy, but we need to care about the finance situation of the company. So I think it's very difficult when our company needs to update a policy or update a benefits for the employees. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
quite a long
think
time. Yeah.
that is an important insight, that we cannot make everybody happy. Although actually the change is applied to everyone, every stakeholders, but then again, we cannot make everyone's happy. So that's why sometimes it is also a challenge for HR, because we have so many stakeholders, we have so many parties to deal with, and that is why I would say change is, I would say, have a hindrance to be implemented. Now, as you can see here, HR is the change agent. Why? Because we are the one who creates the employee experience to have a positive impact of change, because we recruit them, we onboard them, we develop them, we reward them, and also at the end we terminated them. So it is in our control. Although yes, people manager or their supervisors, they also have a lot of impacts on creating the a positive impact of change, besides HR. But then we also have, I would say, control on this, controlling change. I mean, creating experience of change. And as you can see here, uh, I would say we always aim for more employee engagement and a better investor result. So to increase the employee engagement and investor result, actually we always have to be the change agent. Okay, now let's find the seven first steps of change. Well, I believe most of you, or maybe all of you, have experienced change management in your company or in your previous companies. But this is one of the things that we can, I would say, use, and this is also based on um, neuroscience, how we can leverage people's brain in doing or implementing the change. The first one is, I know the why. If we always start with exploring the why on the change, then we have big possibility to be successful in changes. So do we really need to change? So Toy, according to your experience, who usually initiate the change? I mean, the major change in the company.
Uh, in my experience, for me, in my company, HR will be the one who suggest the change for the employee because they are representative of the voice of the employee and they subtract with the stakeholder the change, but also they seem like a bridge between the stakeholder and the employees. But and then they subtract for the stakeholder, but the stakeholder need to some advice from the HR that what we should change or what the benefits or what the advantages and disadvantages. Yeah. So I think the HR and also the stakeholder and also the supervisor of the department or the leader and the colleague.
Okay, well, this is interesting that HR initiated the change. Can you share with us an example of what HR initiates and why the change is initiated? Can you share a bit?
Yeah. Okay. Let me take one example. Like last COVID pandemic, on the companies had to work from home, and also for the IT company had to work from home, but the employees complain about they're not comfortable when work from home, like internet connection, or they feel back hurt when they don't have desk or chair to work, and also take a lot of money for electricity, and maybe the children annoyed, something like that, and they stretch with the some support, money support for the during the time of work from home. So we need to see the other companies, so they have also support, and then we stretch with the state, the boss about the support for the employee, but we need to see how much we should support. So we need the survey about that, and we look at the company, what they do and how they do, and then we think about that, and we make the decision how much we need to support every month for each employees.
Okay. Yes, I think the pandemic situation, especially the start of pandemic, really trigger changes, major changes in companies, and I like it because HR initiate the change. It's very good. So it demonstrates that HR is the change agent. So what about you, Michael? Um, the practice, I mean, the practice in your company or even your previous company, who usually initiate the change?
It's always HR. As you said, HR, we are a change agent. We're supposed to seen as a change agent, and as I previously mentioned, also whatever decision we make affect, and we are kind of connected to entire employee population in the company. So I think it's the HR who does the change.
Okay, is this only people policy, I mean people related agenda, or it is also business related agenda that you say, oh, HR initiate the change?
So far, people related agenda, but most of company decisions are people related agenda, unless it's a business or technical decisions.
Okay, so is it like a bottom up approach? So HR initiate and then you bring this to the board of management and then implement, or how does it go?
Yes, HR will initiate and then it goes to the management. Management will approve, and then we will start to do the change. Change management.
Okay. Can you share a bit about example of what change that initiated by HR? Recent change, maybe?
Recent change. I'm quoted just now. The employee system change was one. All right.
Okay.
And then during post-COVID, we also we found out that working people can also work from home. So what we did was we came up with a mobility program. We had a new separate work arrangement whereby people can permanently work from home. So we kind of manage, who will work from home and what kind of work from home policy that we have. And then we also supported those work from home, as in, because we are saving in terms of the cost, space, save on the electricity, internet, and everything. We kind of come up with utility allowances for them, and who gets the utility allowance, in terms of who gets the utility allowances, and also, in terms of approving those claims after they buy we also give some one-off payment to purchase the equipments, like, monitor, like table, chair, furniture, whatsoever. So we kind of manage all that, and it was initiated by HR, brought to the management kind of approve, and then we go back to implement those things, and then we kind of currently process all those claims, and also we keep track and kind of manage to govern the entire policy when it comes to mobility policy.
Okay, so about the working from home policy, how do you manage the productivity of the employee?
We are an R&D organization, so we kind of, when it comes to engineers, we kind of manage them based on the projects that they have, the deliverables, and it's very much goal driven. Okay, if you assign 5 projects, you need to complete these 5 projects within the next 12 months. And then if you're doing 6 projects, then it's good. If you're doing 3, then you need to back up. If you're doing 2 or 1, there's something wrong. You're not spending the time with the right time and everything. So there are it's a good question that you asked me how you try. Recently also, I had a manager who come to me who say, this guy, he doesn't put 100% even if he works from office. What more if he works from home? I don't know what is he doing. He might be like making use of the. I told her frankly, you see, you are empowered to make him work from home. You have 2 choices. Either you make him work from office or you make him work from home. If you're making work from home, how they manage their time is up to them. Okay, so you only need to focus on their goal. So you have to give him the right goal and set the right mind. So after, you may probably, for this guy, you can have a shorter check-in to ensure that whether he's doing good, not doing good, whether he's doing 5 projects or whether he's doing 3 projects. And if he's not doing the 5 project, then you need to tell him, hey, you're not doing the 5 project, and this is your expectation. And then give him another 3 months to see whether if he's hitting, and if he's not hitting the 5 projects, go back to him, say, hey, I'm going to put you on PIP because I see you there's lack of commitment from you, or there is some gap from you. And then if he doesn't go after the 3 months, do well within the 3 months, then we can think about what we want to do with him. So this is how I answer. Anyway, I'm still learning. Can't be wrong. So
Yeah. So does PIP stand for Personal Improvement Plan?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, that's interesting because I think implementing work from home policy post-COVID, especially, because I also did some survey to my colleagues in other industry and other companies. Some of them struggle with how to manage the productivity, and some of the roles are not suitable for work from home. For example, in Indonesia, for the call center, because we still require certain technology that cannot be implemented in our own personal house. So that's one of the things that is interesting, because I would say, yes, working from home can reduce the cost, but it also leads problem how to manage the productivity. What about you, Chauru? Who initiate the change in it can be people agenda, it could be business agenda. So
most of the time, I based on my experience, actually, I don't know, but it's a mixture, because regardless who actually comes out with the change proposal, no matter what, it requires discussion and interface with business, because like for example, the example we are talking about, working from home and everything, it also requires the consideration about, like, are we going to change the way we like measuring productivity, or are we going to change the way we measure outcomes or deliverables, and all these touches business. So it may be bottoms out from the perspective of, like, we hear feedback, and like but ultimately still asking back the question, why do we want to make the change, right? Is it forced by the situation, the environment, or actually are we because from what Tui and Michael say, right? Suddenly I got the feeling they have very people-oriented organization. Whatever that the employees want, we will actually push it up to the business. But eventually the business also needs the buy-in. So the business will be coming from the perspective of, do we really need the change because the people are asking for it? And the people are asking for it. We are also hoping for that. People are working with better environment and better productivity or better outcomes. So I think it's two-faced. Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned about change implementing OKR at the beginning of our session. Who initiates that change?
That is initiated from top down, definitely. Yeah.
From the board of management.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So how I would say, what is the challenge in related to the reasoning? Like, do you find any challenges in reasoning why we have to do OKR? Why not only the traditional maybe or the previous performance management system?
It comes upon from context. So actually before we implement OKRs, we are actually using KPIs, the typical managed by objectives and everything. And we are even onto continuous review and everything. But the behaviors and the nuances that we receive from the different stakeholders and even from employees from the process isn't actually meeting the objectives of all these KPIs and the process in place, which calls upon the approach of the possible change and also the shift in the business strategies that we are looking out for and everything. Yeah. So actually this very first step about knowing the why and communicating the why is actually something that is driven the first part where we actually wanted to actually introduce the concept to all the employees, the why. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Because this is based on the new neuroscience from Dr. Jenny Brockes' Future Brain. If a human or if a person knows the why, he or she will implement the change better than if he or she doesn't know the why. But then there are some people managers that I encounter is that we are soldiers. We just need to implement the change. It's not about like what's in it for me or what's in it for us. No, we just implement the change because we cannot avoid it, right? So that's why we say to them that yes, I know that this is a top-down approach, but then again, you still need to iterate or amplify why the change happens. Otherwise, the team members will not, I would say, fully implementing the change. And I was also with Charu. As I admire. I mean, I admire Toy and Michael's company because there are some HR initiate the change because I know that in certain companies, yes, I heard that, but then again, usually the board of management who initiate the change and then get feedback from HR and then we implement that. But for employee system, yes, from my experience, it was driven by HR because basically most benefits are enjoyed by the HR team to simplify process, to make the process efficient, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think in the next conversation we can hear more about how HR has, I would say, initiated change in certain areas, especially when it relates to business agenda. Well, let's go to the next session.